So in this section we're going to quickly recap how you can build up your navigation section and put it on the right hand side at the top of your web page. To do that there's a few important properties we're going to have a look at. Float right is what we're going to apply to the unordered list itself, so it goes all the way on the right hand side. To the list items and to the anchor tags within the nav section we're going to change the display to inline block, which will allow them all to go on one line. And we're going to change the list style to none, which will get rid of those bullet points that we have there. So if we quickly have a look back at the plan that I drew, we want to have everything over on the right hand side, and later on we're going to put this heading on the left. Okay, so straight back to our CSS. We've already got these navigation sections in, so let's just put in some rules like we've just talked about. I'm going to start by putting in the inline block rule for nav li, and I'm going to do it on nav a as well. So remember, if we separate the different tags by a comma, then all of the rules are going to apply to every instance of, in this case, the anchor tags within the nav section and the list items within the nav section. So I'm going to change the display to inline block. And now if we go back to our live preview, you can see straight away that's put them all onto the same line. Now the next rule I'm going to apply to the nav unordered list, and I'm going to just float it to the right. And again, straight away it goes over onto the right there. So let's just look back at our HTML and see what's happening here. For the unordered list, which is this tag here, this whole section here, in fact, we've floated it to the right. So everything in that section is going to be pushed against the right edge of the screen. Then we also applied to both the list items and the anchor tags, those two that I have highlighted there. We set the display property to inline block, so they all wrap around onto the same line. So for everything in this highlighted section, they are all our list item and our anchor tags, therefore they are all on one line, and that's exactly what's happened over on the right there. Okay, so the next thing I might want to do is remove these lines from underneath there, and that's the text decoration property, and we're going to apply that to the nav a tag, because remember the anchor tag is the one that creates the link, therefore to get rid of that underline that is to do with the link we need to put it in that appropriate place. So we'll change it to none and they disappear. I'm also going to put in some padding around those anchor tags, and I've already kind of decided what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to put 25 pixels top and bottom and 20 pixels left and right. So now you can see that's spread out a lot nicer over on the right. So now we need to build up the rest of the header section, and we want to have the text Switzerland over there and a big red border around the outside, or a big red background color around the outside. So first of all, let's go back to the index and put in our H1 tag for our Switzerland heading. And I want to put that before the nav section, because the nav section of course relates to these buttons on the icons on the right. So let's put in an H1 tag, and I'll just type in the text Switzerland. And you can see it's wrapped down underneath, and we'll fix that all up in a minute. I'll just fix the little typo I have there for the word visit and go back to our CSS. Now this header, we want to have it fixed so when we scroll down the page it stays up the top. And we looked briefly at how to do that in a previous video, but let's just go through the process again. So for the header section, the header tag, we want to have the position of that fixed. Okay, and straight away you can see on our website up here it changes a little bit. I'm going to put the top of that to 0, so that means it aligns it right to the top of the web page, and I'm going to change the width to 100%, so now you can see it goes across the whole width of the page. I'm also going to change the color of the text to white, and the background color to this hex code up here. Now these hex codes, these color codes I just copied in from that planning document that you saw earlier. So if I paste that in, you can see we have our background color in. We still need to sort out some of the formatting of course, but that's the basic aspect of our header complete. So now I'm going to style this H1 tag that we have here. So as we've done in the past, we're going to use header H1, and I'm going to change the font size to 200%. Now notice that this is now in percentage because we're referring back to our default font that we set up there, the font size of 24 pixels, so this will be 200%, so double that size. I don't need to change the color because I already specified that in the header tag, so for efficiency's sake I don't need to worry about changing it here. I will change the float property. I'll change it to float left, and that allows, as you can see on the right, that allows the navigation elements to be on the same line as that H1 heading. I want to move it down a bit from the top and in from the left, so I'm going to add some padding to that, and I'm going to put 25 pixels on the top and bottom and 20 pixels left and right. So you can see all of the properties there that I've applied to the header and to the H1 tag as well. Okay, so that's starting to come together now. Let's just tidy up this section a little bit. You can see that it's got the default formatting for our anchor tags on there, and we don't want it to be like that. So down in the nav A section, we need to overwrite that color and change it to white as well. And we've got some padding on the top and on the sides, but I think I want to push it down just a little bit further. So to do that, I'm going to put in a rule for the list items within the nav, and I'm going to change that so there's padding of 10 pixels on the top and bottom, and nothing on the left, or no extra on the left and right. So now we have everything is looking pretty good in place. We have a nice big heading there, and it's lined up nicely with our navigation elements there. The next thing I want to do though is just put a little hover effect over those buttons so that when I hover my mouse over, they change color slightly. So again, nav A : hover. It's really important there's no spaces in this little section down here. This section here, there's no spaces there, otherwise it probably won't work quite the way you want. And then I'm going to change the color of the text back up to the top into my comment. I'm going to change it to this accent color that I have there. So I'll copy that and go down to the bottom, paste that in, don't forget the semicolon after that, and now we go back to our website, and you can see it just changes the color of that text slightly, which is a nice subtle effect, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, that'll do it for this video. That's been a recap of how you can set up a navigation bar in one particular way. Of course, there's many different ways you can do it. We've created a fixed bar that's going to be at the top of the page, so when you scroll down it will remain there. In the next video I'll just have a short little bonus video about how you can create this box shadow underneath, and how you can search online to try and find some resources to help you do that.